Hi and welcome to today's yoga practice. We don't need any equipment at all, but if you do have a belt, a bolster or a pillow, and a block or a book, then you can incorporate those to make the practice feel a little bit more restorative. If we don't have any, then the practice is just as lovely, so don't worry at all about going to grab those things if you don't have them. So we're going to start off without anything. We're just going to sit. We can cross the knees if that feels nice to you. If it's uncomfortable to bend the knees like this, then you could have the legs out long, you could sit on a chair, whatever helps you to feel grounded, whatever helps you to relax down. And we're just going to start off by, as we say, arriving in the body. So we start off by melting down the legs, softening every muscle from the toes up through the knees. All the way up the thighs. Allow the hips to be soft. All the way up through the torso, melting and relaxing. The shoulders soften down and away from your ears. The belly softens enough that you can allow each and every breath to really fill and balloon through the belly. The back of the neck is long, yet the chin is still nice and lifted. The forehead is soft, the eyebrows are parted. And if it's quiet enough, just listen to the sound of your breath. Begin to elongate the exhales, really drawing the abdominals towards the back. Allow the inhales to be full, balloon the tummy. And we're going to try and allow this slow pace of breath throughout our entire practice. This breath is not forced, and it's not particularly a breath technique where we're trying to follow a pattern. It's just your natural breath, but because we are so relaxed in the torso, it fills every inch. We exhale completely. Each last bit of breath releasing. There might be a moment of stillness in between the inhales and the exhales. Just taking a few breaths like this throughout your day is enough to shift your entire day. Okay, keeping that breath, we're going to take our first movement. We're going to slide the legs nice and long. We dorsiflex the feet to start, which means we draw heels as far away from the hips as we can. We shine the toes up and then we soften the feet. We lift up through the spine to begin, and then we gently melt forwards. Now, as we melt forwards, you might find this is far too much on either the back of the legs or your back itself. If that is the case, you absolutely can incorporate a bolster either behind the backs of the knees horizontally or on top of your legs, and we can roll down, melting onto the bolster. So listen to what feels right for your body. As we begin to melt into the pose, we soften every single muscle. We soften the crown forwards, relax the back of the neck, release and relax the legs and the hips, and breathe. Because we're in this lovely forward fold position, you might find that as that full breath enters the torso, it begins to expand through the back rather than the front of the body. Maybe in width or height, we start to expand and contract. Just allow wherever feels natural to fill with breath and release away. Every inhale nourishes through every muscle, and every exhale releases and relaxes you deeper into the pose. You might find that you begin to soften in areas that felt a little bit tight at the start of the movement. Maybe at the beginning your hamstrings or your calves, your back might have felt too tight, too intense to melt down properly. But with every single breath, we begin to soften. Every inhale nourishes us. Every exhale relaxes us. You might find that you even feel comfortable enough to roll the bolster away if you are using a pillow or a bolster, and deepen even further. Often, as we melt into yin poses, we find new depths. Yin is never about the aesthetic of a pose. But if we were an outsider looking in, observing the visuals, we might start off a lot higher than we finish in our poses. We're here for 4 more breath cycles, softening and releasing, allowing your muscles to relax. As slowly as you can, we're going to come out of this pose by gently pushing into the hands, walking them up towards us. Well done. We're going to take a counter pose here. So, we move slowly when transitioning from pose to pose. It's not about a seamless transition like it might be in yang practices. It's more about just listening to the area that you've just targeted. So we're going to gently move as slowly as we can. Really listening to your body. Now again, we don't need a bolster or a pillow here for this movement. We can do this with our forearms directly on the ground. However, if you would like to intensify the movement, we can prop ourselves up a little bit taller onto a bolster, like so. So our options are on a bolster with the chest or shoulders propped up, or if you prefer, directly on the floor forearms down, or gently lifted, palms down. So take the option that feels most comfortable for you. Allow yourself, once you've found your position, to soften in. Now this is both a counter pose and a pose in and of itself. So we are going to be here for a little while. We begin to melt down. We soften the shoulders. You might soften the head or neck forwards. Allowing a heaviness. It's really normal for your mind to wander. The body coming into stillness often speeds up the mind before it slows it down. That's completely normal. Rather than becoming frustrated with the mind for wandering, just keep guiding back to present. We keep returning to the physical sensations of the body, such as how the pose feels in your back, such as where you can relax down your muscles in the target area. This pose, for example, targets the lower back. So can we relax the muscles in the glutes, in the hamstrings, in the lower back? Maybe we can soften somewhere in the arms and just keep the hands active, or vice versa. Some poses require an element of yang energy, an element of activation, keeping us in the pose, whilst other poses mean we can completely relax down. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, we walk our hands slowly up towards us. We're going to push ourselves up nice and tall, and we're going to come into our next pose. We gently swivel the bolster round. So this is just a counter pose if we want it to be. So our focus here is to release through the back where we've just targeted. So our gentler option would be facing down hero, releasing through the back, allowing that gentle opening. However, if you're after a little bit more of an intense practice today, then we draw the knees a little bit wider. We draw the shins parallel to the sky, and we relax down like so instead. So in this pose, I often flex the feet and then release them down. So starting with a flexed foot and then relaxing and releasing can mean that we fall into a little bit more of a gentler, more natural position. Whether we are in down facing hero or frog, allow yourself to listen to your body. If we're doing this without a bolster, then we will be having forearms on the ground, or we'll be reaching the arms out in front if we're in down face hero. As the breath fills the entire body, just observe where naturally rises and falls, expands and contracts. Observe how the pose progressively feels as we melt into it. We should find the more we relax down, the easier the pose becomes. Now that's not always the case. We do have a saying in yin that not every pose is for everybody. For every body is for every pose. So that means there's no one size fits all pose that will work for you. There will always be some poses that you think that doesn't feel right for my body and you need to tailor it. But everybody can practice yin and there will always be an adaptation. Adaptations here look like moving your knees forwards or bringing your toes together or both. It can often mean bringing your knees back as well into more of a diamond shape. The more the mind wanders, the more opportunities we have to practice that habit of noticing when the mind has wandered, where it's wandered to, and returning to present. When you're feeling ready, as slowly as you can, we gently make our way up. Think about your legs here as you move. We really want to be gentle. The hips might be feeling a bit sensitive, so think about those as well. Okay, we're moving into our next position, which is sleeping deer. Now, again, we can do this without a bolster. We absolutely don't need a bolster here, but if you are using one, it will be against the thigh. We push the middle against the thigh. We would like to guide the knee towards the sole of the foot, and we have kind of a square leg situation here, but we can draw that foot closer towards our pelvis if we find that when that leg is out, the hip is flying. We'd like it to be quite comfortable here. Then we gently twist. If the hip lifts there, that's absolutely normal and fine. We're then going to walk our hands slowly forwards. Now this is where we might make an adjustment. You might feel completely comfortable to relax down here. However, if that feels a bit intense, we can go at a diagonal angle, either with or without a bolster. And this is a bit more gentle. It's less of a twist and it's less asking of the hips. So whether we are directly out towards the side or at an angle, we begin to melt down. We begin to soften. Allow a heaviness. Yin is so beneficial for our entire being. Your body benefits because it's growing in range of motion and flexibility. We're improving our elasticity, bringing lubrication to the joints, bringing strength and length into the ligaments and tendons. We're really going deep into the body, but it's also amazing for the emotional body. We release stuff that we hold within the body, whether that's emotions that we've collected throughout the day just gone, or they might have been there our whole lives. We go deep enough that we begin to release and create space as we do so within the body for the new. It's amazing for the mind because it's so slow. It's all about surrender and allowing, just existing. Therefore, it falls under category of meditation, a moving meditation where we focus on only the breath, only the present moment sensations. It's challenging as a meditation because we are releasing. Therefore, there's always things popping up and grabbing our attention. The more they pop up, the more opportunity we have to observe and gently shift back to present, back to the breath, back to the sensations. The more times we do this, the better we get at allowing ourselves to just become present. We are not our thoughts. We're not even our emotions. We experience the thoughts. We are simply the ones watching. We are the soul, the observer, consciousness. And that is the space that we tap into when we enter into these meditative states. We place no pressure on ourselves to feel a certain way. Often the word meditation can be quite intense. It makes us feel like we need to immediately feel super zen, super relaxed. And it's normally more of a journey. Sometimes we never get out of the constant observing and trying to return to present for one session. And then in another session you might find that you fall just straight into it. And it doesn't matter where you get. There's benefits to every single element of meditation. Even if it's just checking in and observing where you're at today, which is often the first step of meditation. When you're feeling ready, we slowly help ourselves up and we're going to swap onto the other side. So you can transition in any way that suits you. We're going to take our counter pose after, if that's okay. But if it feels too intense to just go straight into the other side, you can absolutely just lay down flat if that feels right for you, on your back, on your front, just allowing a little bit of a release. Okay, we draw the foot to the knee, that leg back, and we either frame the bolster or just draw the hands to the side without a bolster there. It can be at an angle or directly straight out to the side. Find your pose, what works for you, and then walk your hands. Relax it down and just melt. We talked about before how some poses require a yang energy. This pose definitely doesn't. This pose allows your whole body to go completely soft, to just surrender with gravity. And the more our body surrenders, the easier it is for our mind to begin to follow suit, for the energy to begin to shift into that yin-like state, where we just allow, just relax, we soften. A lot of time in life is spent trying to change. And in yin, we instead allow ourselves to fully accept exactly where we're at. We accept the space we're in. The body we're in. We accept thoughts as and when they arrive. We don't reply to them. We don't allow ourselves to take away from our practice, our quality time with ourselves, by giving the thoughts more power, we instead spend a bit more time with the body, with the energy. We're still accepting of the thoughts. We observe them. We shift back to present continually. The present might be how the pose feels, how the breath fills the body. The poses in yin often work quite well when they're intense enough to keep our awareness present. For example, if you can really feel that sensation of twisting in the torso, you can feel the pulling down that front of that leg, maybe a nice pulling down the outer thigh here. That is lovely for not only deepening your practice physically, although it's not about progressing, it's all about just melting, releasing from your body. It also allows us to stay present because there's that constant sensation of falling, deepening, and often dissipation of tension. Kind of like holding your thumb down into a knot. It feels intense but good. And then there's a release. Okay, when you're feeling ready, we walk ourselves up nice and tall, and we're moving into our yin bridge. So you can use a block, you can use a bolster. If you don't have either, you could use a book, or you could just lay down if you prefer. That's also always fine. Okay, so we're going to move this out to the side. We lay down, like so. And we'd like our block or bolster, whatever we're using, to be directly out towards the side. Okay. We bend the legs, we lift the hips, and we're going to slide either our block or our bolster underneath the hips. So from here, we could stay here. This is already an intense position. We'd like this under the hips rather than underneath the lower back. We could also send the legs nice and long. This is, again, a lovely intense position. So you don't have to do anything from here, but you could release back with the arms if you like. Focus on the breath and the body. You'll often know when you're in a yang place within your mind or within your energy, because we're often looking for external noise. We're looking for things that match our energy. And you'll know when you shift more into that yin-like state, because the silence of the practice begins to feel more comforting, more nourishing than it does intimidating or uncomfortable. The stillness of the practice becomes something that your body feels like it needs, as opposed to something that we need to be restless and fidgeting through. Unless, of course, the pose is not comfortable. We always move if it's not comfortable. And the more we fall into that yin-like state, the more we find we don't want to leave the poses, we don't want to end the practice. And that's when we know we've brought just a little bit of yin into our day. Days which can often be very yang, very full, very busy. You only need a little bit of yin in your day to improve your self-love, to improve your ability to accept and allow and forgive and shift into a lovely peaceful state. We're not just working with the energy in the way we're bringing more yin into our yang, but we are also working with the meridians of the body. Meridians are drawn from traditional Chinese medicine theory that there are channels and ley lines of energy or prana or chi running through your body, and that this energy or life force brings with it a complete wellness and a health, universal love. It looks like the roots of a tree or branches, and travels the entire way through the body, from the toes to the fingertips up to the crown. When we practice these poses, we release physical tension. We directly stimulate these meridians, both of which improves the flow of prana or chi or energy, however you choose to refer to that life force that gives you power, that gives you that zest for life. It's normal for this to become blocked throughout day-to-day life, when we're not tending to our body, when we don't have time to focus on breath, to move and to shift and to release. So giving yourself this time just to massage out and squeeze any tension out of your body, to tap into those meridians and encourage flow through those areas. It's super powerful. You don't need to do anything other than allow. This pose specifically focuses on the lower back, which targets through the urinary bladder meridian, which relates to feelings of trust or fear, depending on what end of the spectrum we're looking at of that emotion. When you're ready, we draw the arms down, we lift the hips, and we gently release the bolster away. And our counter pose here, we're just going to draw the knees up in towards the body and hug them in. Shift the hips just until you find your spot and then melt into stillness. You might squeeze the knees in towards you, or you might just release and relax wide. Find what feels right for you. When you're feeling ready, we're going to send both legs long, and if you would like to take your meditation with your legs up the wall, you absolutely can. That can be a nice end to your practice, especially if you are practicing this before bedtime. They don't have to be straight lines, i.e. they don't have to be like so. They can be soft, they can be heavy. We're just changing up that flow of energy once again. Your arms can be wide or rested anywhere on your body that feels as though it needs a little bit of extra love and attention. Allow the breaths to fill your belly. Lovely nurturing breaths that expand all the way through the torso. There's a gentleness. If a feather were underneath your nostrils, it would barely move as you breathe in and out. But if there were a feather on your tummy, it would rise up as tall as it could, and it would release down as low as it could. The face is soft. The whole body is completely relaxed. There is no effort here. And that is perfect. It's normal for your mind to wander. As it drifts, we gently catch it and continually draw back to present, thinking about those two feathers, one beneath the nostrils and one rested on your tummy. One is barely moving, yet the one in your tummy draws up as tall as it can. And releases down as low as it can. This gentle breath gently shifts your state. There is no rush to get there. Just allow the present moment. The more the mind wanders, the more we strengthen our habit of simply observing a thought, knowing we are not our thoughts. We are the one that watches them. We are not our emotions. They are simply a communicator of how aligned we are with our energy. We don't need to resist a thought, reject a thought, respond to a thought. No matter how much we find that initial resistance, we just surrender time and time again. thought arises with an emotion, we take note. We don't need to remember. We don't need to change or do anything at all. We just shift back to the present, where we get to just be, soft and heavy, just existing. If you would like to melt into a peaceful state, feel free to turn off the video here and come back into a meditation of your own. However, if we are now going about our day, we're going to slide the legs down into a bend. We're going to roll onto one side. We make our way slowly up into a cross-leg position. We draw the hands into Anjali Mudra. Namaste. Thank you all for practicing with me. Have a lovely rest of your day, whether you are going to sleep or just starting your day. Oh, and feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.